For over 60 years, television has been the dominant form of entertainment in the United States. On February 17, 2009, the nation will complete its transition to an all-digital television broadcast system, and the era of analog broadcasting in the United States will be history. The digital revolution is underway.
The TV set is the defining product of the 20th century. It's the display, it's the canvas that creators around the world allow their vision of the world to be shared. It allows anyone in the world to have access to information, entertainment, and education.
Today, televisions can be found in over 98% of American households, and half of them are digital TV sets.
It's truly transformed the world. It's probably the greatest invention of the 20th century.
Wait, did you ever wonder how all this happened? How you can turn that knob and enjoy a dramatic show, laugh at a comedian, watch the ball game? Well, it's quite a story, the story of television.
This story begins with sound, not pictures.
This is station KDKA Pittsburgh, bringing you a program of news and music.
The first commercial radio station in Pittsburgh brought with it a new era called broadcasting. Transmission towers began to dot the countryside, and radio broadcasts were now available to the masses. Radio in the 1920s was a free-for-all. America's fascination with the new medium brought an explosion in manufacturing, broadcasting, and litigation. Congress passed the Radio Act of 1927 in an attempt to regulate the booming industry. This definition was clearly intended to include television. A little-known curiosity, but one that would have profound effects on our country. Television of the 1920s was experimental and mechanical. Sets used a motor to rotate a metal disc in order to produce an image. The pictures had only 30 to 60 scan lines.
So these were very fuzzy pictures. Often they didn't have sound that was connected with them. What you were looking at best were silhouettes. You had to have a lot of contrast to be able to even understand what you were looking at.
In the fall of 1927, 21-year-old Philo T. Farnsworth transmitted the first completely electronic image, a single line of light on a system he dreamed up while still in high school.
Philo Farnsworth has a lasting legacy in television. Some of the equipment used in television today in cameras and devices, even as we move more and more into a digital era, harks back to the kinds of things he developed in the 1920s and 1930s.
Throughout the early 30s, Farnsworth continued to improve image quality and innovate his system of all-electronic television, resulting in over 114 patents. During the same time period, the Radio Corporation of America, RCA, under the direction of David Sarnoff, was committing millions of dollars to the development of electronic television. RCA's lead researcher was Dr. Vladimir Zworykin. Zworykin began his research in television technology as far back as the 1920s, and is truly one of the fathers of modern television.
David Sarnoff and Vladimir Zworykin made an excellent team. Sarnoff was the manager who provided the money, the facilities, the goads, sometimes the threats, but more often the rewards for good work. Zworykin was the technologist. Zworykin was the engineer who came up with important circuits in television.
The 1930s were a time of great advances in picture quality. The original 60 lines of picture were now X lines, and they were being transmitted by experimental TV stations like NBC's 2XBS from the top of the Empire State Building.
1939. Television is ready to make its official public debut. The setting could hardly be more perfect. The New York World's Fair. Its theme, the world of tomorrow.
RCA's David Sarnoff stated, "We have added radio sight to sound." NBC broadcast live from the fair to the 3,000 TV sets then in New York. They saw Franklin Roosevelt, the first president ever televised. And later that same year, NBC broadcast the first ever baseball game. At the close of the 30s, entertainment programming was crude and simplistic. This was a time of creative and technical experimentation, a new medium with endless possibilities.